entertainment, current events, and Hollywood. Don't miss Creator to Creators, hosted by the filmmaker Meosha, known for the Shudder hit documentary Horror Noir and the acclaimed film Anatomy of an Anti-Hero, Redemption. This show features interviews with filmmakers and creatives from around the globe. Join the fun with guest celebrities and gain valuable insights. Subscribe now and follow Creator to Creators.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Creators to Creators today. Today we have a special guest.
Michelle Danner, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I loved our last conversation the last time you were on. It was such a very informative and such an eye-opener of a conversation. So I'm very excited to have you back on. You look great. So I
You.
love I love going back to the beginning. For the guests that are not really familiar with your work, tell us a little bit about your childhood and how did you find your way into doing the things that you're doing now?
Well, I had a very creative childhood. I was born in New York City, but my father opened the very first William Morris agency, which is now the William Morris Endeavor, in Paris in France. And when I was a little girl, he'd take me to the office and I played under his desk, and all these big stars would come in, talk about their dreams, talk about their goals. They would come to the house, they'd make dinner, they'd play songs on the piano, tell stories. So I grew up in a very artistic atmosphere. And in addition to that, I loved books. So I created in my closet above a little alcove where I would go to the library and, just come back with 2 bags filled with books and would just read and read and read, and would love to go to the theater, would love to go to museums, would love to go on Sunday to the Palais de Versailles. And so I had but also my parents, where my mother was a singer and a dancer, and she was very tumultuous. She was Italian, so my childhood was a roller coaster of emotions, and my parents were having affairs on each other, and it
Nice.
was very, very colorful. It was an incredibly in addition to the vanilla scent in the candles. There was also
Right.
that volcano all the time. I always joke that when we sat down to dinner, you didn't quite know when the spaghetti was going to fly, but at a certain point, you were assured it was going to happen. Um, but having said that, listen, we are dealt the cards that we are dealt at the end of the day, and you make the most out of what you have, and you learn from it. So I think I learned from my childhood. I went on to continue to pursue the arts because that's where my passion was. Uh, I look at my nephews and nieces, and they're thinking about going to law school, and that's never entered my mind. To do anything that was corporate has never entered my mind. So I was always all about the arts, all about, storytelling. And so, yeah, that was my childhood. And then I moved to New York. We moved back to New York, and I was lucky enough to get to study with Stella Adler and with Uta Hagen and some other wonderful teachers. And then moved to LA, where I, was also studying with Larry Moss. And then I started to teach, and I started to coach, and then I started to make movies. Everything so far has been a natural progression. Everything feels like it's gone organically from one thing to the next.
I love that. I love that. I think that I love it's like I call it the what is it, being in flow, right? When you're in just everything
Yeah,
just comes to you.
yeah.
That's a great place to be in. You often say that truth and authenticity are an actor's greatest asset. What does what does truth actually look like in a performance?
That you really believe what you're saying, that you are immersed in the character's skin, that you've taken on this character and their habitat and their world. There's all this talk right now. I haven't seen it yet, but I can't wait to see it on Wednesday about the Odyssey.
Oh,
Um,
yes.
but I
Yeah.
just was watching on The View like 2 minutes with Matt Damon and Christopher Nolan and Hathaway, and I can't wait to see it. And to take on mythological, these Greek, iconic, characters. I can't wait to see that. But that's what truth means, is that we really believe that you are that person. And I think the more famous you are, people say about the most famous you are, the most difficult it is because A, you have to prove
Mm,
yourself.
mm,
People are always there's the pressure of, what is that person gonna do? And
yeah.
then not only do you have to prove yourself, but because we've seen you play all these different characters, you really have to work hard at making us believe the truth of that character.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, that's interesting because like, especially, well, we know it's gonna, the Odyssey, I mean, such an amazing cast. I saw all the names. I was like, oh, it's gonna be great because every one of them are just, they're just so talented. Um, but yeah, Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Lupita Nyong'o. I was like, wow, what a lineup. What is his name? Who's the director again? Is it Nolan?
Christopher Nolan. Yeah, I can't wait to see
Christopher
Lupita
Nolan.
Nyong'o in
Oh,
it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm excited. It's going to be interesting. But I heard a lot of great things. So I love to ask you this, and I'm curious too. The Your golden box technique combines multiple acting methods. Why do you believe actors shouldn't limit themselves to just one approach?
Well, the actor today, I think, when people were walking around confused in the 50s and the 60s in New York City and wanting to hang on to one methodology, it helped them to say, I'm going to study with Stella, I'm going to study with Lee Strasberg. But now things have changed.
Yeah.
And I think the actor today in 2026 needs to be familiar with all the different philosophies of acting so they can create their own acting toolbox where, and no one acting toolbox is the same. Everybody's is different. Every actor is unique. So whatever tools you put in that toolbox is based on your readings, it's based on what you see.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I was in New York City and I saw a wonderful performance of Death of a Salesman, which
Mm.
my son and I went to see it, and we both were like, "Oh well, that's gonna win every Tony," and sure enough, it made Tony history. And this incredible actor, Christopher Abbott, did the Biff monologue in a way that I've never seen it done before. I mean, he really stamped his signature on it, and that's authenticity. By the way, that was
Mm.
very authentic. But I think that in order to be able to deliver these performances, that you have to really have a vast understanding of what all these techniques are so that you can create your own very unique toolbox. And I
Yeah,
call it the golden box because it's
I love
gold what you
that.
put in it.
Absolutely. It's interesting because, I feel for actors. I commend what actors do and just what they go through just to get to those scenes or to, they live in a character essentially for a long time. I was reading about the Heath Ledger, like he lived Joker for, he locked himself away. I mean, it was extreme methods and just how actors can find their way back to themselves. I find it be like a master class of how they do that. It's
Oh,
scary.
I think when the character is dark and you have to
Mm,
go to those deep places, you have to find a way to take care of yourself. You have to find a
yeah.
way to protect yourself, because obviously it's not healthy, and sometimes you need to medicate, and that's what happened in that instance.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to, separate your work in that case from your life,
Hmm.
and not you're not what you do. I always say that, you are who you are. And
Hmm.
because then it can become dangerous, and and a character can seep in. I remember talking to this actress once, and she said we were doing a psychological thriller horror movie together, and she said that she had two young kids, and she left the script and the clothing of the character. She never
Oh,
brought it into the house. It always stayed
wow.
in the car. I thought that was a great choice. She found a way
Yeah.
to take care of herself, to protect herself, to protect her kids, not to come
Yeah.
in with that energy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. What's the biggest misconception aspiring actors have with becoming emotionally available in a scene?
Um, that it's going to be hard to come out of it. I think
Okay.
you can find a way to come out of it. And sometimes I don't mean to make it too simplistic, sometimes you have to pay the price a little bit. Listen, it takes courage to act. It's not for everybody. And
Hmm.
you have to, but I see it very much as contributing something. I always tell, the students in my classes, don't go into this thinking of what you can take. Think of what you
Mm.
can give.
Yeah, I love
It's
that.
you're a teacher. You're teaching, reminding people of what it's like to be human. So you're a teacher of humanity. And that's what I like to think of. I like to think of the contribution of what you're bringing, of what you're giving.
Mm. Does what's the difference between a technically good performance and one that audience never forget?
Um, I think it's the degree to which you're moved by it.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I always, and I talk about it, you can be, you can be in a movie that has the greatest production values and visual effects and special effects and all these LED screens, which is, a lot of the future and this AI, scenery. And
Yeah.
if you don't move people, I mean, I can only be interested in the chandelier falling for a second. Then I want to feel something as an
Right.
audience. I want to
Right.
feel it. And so if you're able to give that experience to people, if after they watch you and they watch you immersed in the story, it makes them want to go hug somebody that they love or forgive someone or do something that is of service, then you've achieved something, I think.
I love that. So, we're living in a time of AI, and I was seeing a video of a guy talking about that SAG is also giving AI credit now. They're listed as actors, which I'm sure a lot of actors were kind of nervous and scared to hear when about AI and the future of acting. You've said AI will never replace genuine human performance, which I absolutely agree with. But what is it about human emotion that technically is simply can't be replaced that AI can contribute?
Well, it's if you see, and there's a lot of these vertical movies, right, with AI
Yeah,
actors, AI generated actors. Well, first of all, they're not real, and
right.
um, and so it feels robotic, and that's what's tied into the humanity of it. Even if they make them cry, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
authentic. It feels like a robot. Listen, I have I have one teenager and another son that is in his 20s, and they despise AI. And I think that's why when everybody was making the commencement speeches in June across campuses in the US, we saw a bunch of moments, when they mentioned AI, even if they were reading AI speech on the teleprompter, got booed because this generation, my kids' generation, teens and early 20s, absolutely despise it. I always say,
Yeah.
so if I'm like searching something on AI as a tool, they make fun of me. And I go, and
Mm.
a lot of the times they're probably right to make fun of me. So if a moment gets a little too tough in a movie and a TV show, I'll go ahead and I'll AI the answer. Does this person die? And and a lot of the times they don't, they tell you they die and it's wrong, or they tell you they don't die and they do die. Uh, so, and so then my kids really make fun of me because they say, see, we told you, you should have, you should have checked.
Yeah.
So it's not always reliable, is what I'm saying. I think you'd have to triple check your sources.
Yeah.
But it'll get better. AI will refine itself, will get better, and we'll see, like, in what instance can it be helpful to us. But in terms of actors and in terms of, I mean, I think, if you told me I'm shooting a movie and I'm going to do a green screen and we're going to generate this scenery on the green
Right.
screen with I personally would not be too much. I mean, only if it looks good. A lot of it does not look good. It would have to look great for me to go, yeah. Because I wouldn't be a purist when it came to that. Would I be interested in directing a movie with AI actors? No, I have absolutely no interest in that whatsoever.
Right.
And I think just to answer this very long-winded answer with the AI thing, if you have an emotional moment and you put a real actor in an AI actor, you know, the AI actor is unauthentic. It's not real. And therefore,
Mm,
it doesn't really work. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to have audience that's going to be interested in watching it, but
right.
ultimately, will it ever replace it in so many different ways that it cannot? No.
I agree with that. Yeah. I mean, I was talking to a few actors and they're like, oh my God, we're going to be replaced. I think a lot of actors are really nervous because, it's really tough to, it's like another thing now. At one point it was just, COVID happened, no one was working, it was everyone striking. Now it's AI thing. Do you think AI will ultimately create more opportunities for actors or make breaking into the industry even harder if because it's here to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere anytime soon.
No, I mean, I think it's hard to, it's difficult to know exactly how it's
Yeah.
going to evolve. I mean, but no, that they're going to replace actors. But there are things that could happen like this, for instance. I think if an actor is not available to do ADR in a movie that they shot, could
Hmm.
they use AI for that? Uh, yeah. My editor is afraid that he's going to be replaced by AI. And they say there's going to be a way that, movies are going to be edited with AI. I can't
Wow.
see it. I really honestly can. I don't understand how you would bypass the human component of it.
Mm.
Unless, I mean, there's a human that's directing. I mean, could there be a program where a human being would tell an editing software, do this, do this, do this right at this moment? But then you need the human touch to do it right in
Hmm.
that scintilla of that moment because that
Right.
makes the whole difference. And
Right.
so, therefore, will AI ever do that? Or I don't see that somehow. Will AI, even when you see the songs that are generated by AI or the scores that are generated
Yeah.
by AI, it's
Yeah.
it's tech. It's that difference between technical and, heartbreaking. And to me, and I know that there's like things that are going viral, these songs. Oh, this song moves me to the core. And you look who sang that song, and nobody, it's an AI generated
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Scary.
But it never, I think people just want to be moved because honestly, I don't know. I don't feel like it's moving. And then when I find out it's AI, it's definitely less moving.
Right. You're like, oh no. Yeah, I heard there was something that went viral on, I think it was TikTok or Instagram, and it was a version of Michael. It was supposed to be it sounds just like Michael Jackson, even though we know he's gone, but it was so scary and it blew up over the internet and it sounded great. It's like, oh my God, can do this. They can take your voice and replicate it, and yeah, it's really interesting to me.
There's a lot of things that it can do, and I think as a tool, let it be
Yeah.
helpful as a tool. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. You hear that term of breaking into Hollywood. Um, you teach both the craft and the business of acting. Why is it important to understand the business,
Well,
like
the
today?
business is, yeah, it's important because, you could, hit your head against the wall trying to find a way in or getting, to really understand how the business works. I
Right.
even tell, students, actors, that yes, of course, you have an agent, you have a manager that looks at the contract and the fine print, and you have a lawyer. But look at the fine print. I know it's a little tedious, but
Yeah.
look at the fine print. Educate yourself. Don't rely on others to understand the business of it. I mean, there is a business. I you know study it. I study what are the movies that get theatrical releases. What are the movies that don't? How do you market them for certain
Hmm.
audiences? I
Hmm.
mean, if you look, recently, the horror movies in the last couple of years, starting with Long Legs, it had a
Yes.
brilliant marketing thing. And, obviously A24 and Neon know how to market. They nurture products. I think at the end of the day, it really boils down to the nurturing of it. So to understand so you don't, A, get frustrated, and
Hmm.
B, you maximize your chances to really have not only a successful career, but a long career.
Yes, yes. And it's interesting. I was reading an article about like, you mentioned A24 and your Blumhouse production companies and this horror phenomenon and how these I guess indie filmmakers they call them now, which I think indie is really having nothing, but nowadays indie can be $750,000. It's like I don't know. I think that's a little it's not an indie anymore, but I think the term indie is thrown around. I think a lot of young filmmakers or creatives coming into the business are looking at these stories that, I think it's Corey Barker that did Obsession.
Right.
Blumhouse gave him, his first time coming out of the gate. He was doing YouTube short films to making this movie Obsession, which was a smash hit. So now other people are like, oh, this is an indie project. And I think that the term is thrown around a little too loosely, you know, just like, I don't think that's considered an indie film. But maybe that's just me. I'm from the school of '06 where, you're having your JVS, your one camera, one light, and you gotta make it work.
Well, now I
But
think
yeah,
anything that's under 5 million is viewed as independent filmmaking.
very
You know,
interesting.
yeah, I mean, you would think independent filmmaking is literally doing it on a shoestring with guerrilla shooting, but it's it's not that. It's so interesting. It goes through so many different waves. That's why understanding the business is so important. But it takes understanding the business, it's not a long process. Becoming a
Mm,
good actor, that's the process. That's the craft. That
right.
takes time. Understanding, and also you have to also keep up with the fact that everything evolves and nothing stays the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the other thing. Nothing really stays the same. Right now, we're in the heat of horror movies,
Yeah.
and my son takes me to see all of them. So we're in the heat of horror movies. Those are the ones that get theatrically released, in addition to the big spectacle movies, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but that's what people are interested in going to the movie theaters to see, to have that
Yeah.
experience. But for all we know, next year that trend has passed
That's
and it'll
true.
be different.
That's
You know?
that's true.
It'll be different. I think that you have to, and also the fact that today we have so access to so much content. There's so
Oh yeah.
much.
Oh yeah. Do you think, and when I looked, I'm not sure if you've seen Obsession. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was really well done.
Yes, of
And
course. Yes,
the
I saw it.
concept,
Yeah.
yeah. But no famous actor at all. And I think this was a great thing for the up and coming actors, being in this movie, now they're gonna be able to, work now.
Sorry about that.
It's okay.
And help me with this, Nicola. What's happening is I have a handyman in the house
Oh,
fixing a leak in the kitchen.
oh,
And this
no
movie has
worries.
ended up actually, this movie is Gone with the Wind. It's been going on since yesterday.
Oh no,
So
I'm
it's
sorry.
2 days. I loved Obsession, but when you have a genre like horror, you don't have to cast big names. People will go. And of course, that had an incredible word of mouth.
Yes.
And nobody can bet. Listen, there's some movies that, are as good as Obsession or better than Obsession, and they don't make it. They never
Mm,
have the success that Obsession had. I mean, I think that I don't know a lot about it, but my son does. That director also put a lot of his work up. And he garnered a following. He put a lot of
yeah,
his work up on YouTube for free. I thought that was very smart. So again,
yeah,
part of this idea of wanting to give was something that was at the core of this filmmaker. So he wanted to give, and give he did, and he amassed a following that followed him to the movie theater.
oh yeah, oh yeah, he did. Brilliant, brilliant marketing. I took some pages out of their book. I was like, that's actually very excellent marketing. I didn't think of it like that, but yeah, it was some good stuff that he did. Um, if you were advising a brand new actor today with no connections, knowing no one in the business, what would be what would your first 6 months of strategy look like for them?
A brand new actor,
Yeah.
I just to study. I think to be
Okay.
patient, I think there's a very big misconception of, oh, I can learn acting by watching TikTok videos. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
It doesn't. So I'll watch a few videos and people don't feel they have to study the craft. But if
it's
you were going
true.
to be an accountant, you'd have to study and educate yourself. Of course, if you had to be a lawyer or a doctor, you'd have to do that, or a scientist. Um, People just don't want to take the time, and it has to do with our society, the way that it is. Everybody wants the school of McDonald's, and even faster than McDonald's.
Very
You just
true.
want it fast. Everything needs to be fast. Listen, I'm guilty of that too at times. You know, I am in the fast lane. I don't have the patience to, sit there and listen to it. But true
Yeah.
art has to do with patience. And,
Mm,
that's why when you see, like, the actors that we respect, and we all have the same list, and, and you see them and they're on set, they're reading a book. And people don't read anymore. That's the new thing. Sorry, they're
yeah.
gonna bark again. There was a whole thing I love watching. I have a little ritual with my kids. I watch CNN, on CNN. He talks about international politics, Fareed Zakaria, and he had a very interesting guest on yesterday that talked about how people don't read anymore. If people don't take the time, and it's the same, I think, philosophy behind taking the time to take acting classes
Mhm.
and taking the time hanging out and being patient. It takes time to learn and to absorb it and to let it seep into your DNA. And so
I
this
love
is where
that.
we're at. We're in a society where we want it fast and fast and faster, as opposed to just relax and learn.
And learn. Yeah. Yeah. There's something about the process that I really enjoy. And I think that's I was talking to a few filmmakers at this event, and they were, it's just a different type of time we're living in now and how they see the world. And I blame social media. I do blame the social media algorithm, and that they see one thing that someone's like, oh, they're in, you know, I don't know, their movie gets picked up from a big studio and they just like, oh, I want that career. I want this. And I don't just it's just unrealistic expectations. And I think it's the process it's a part of, growing and your growth as a creative. I think it adds to it. And I don't
Right.
know, social media. Unplug. Um, I have a fun question.
Totally. I'm
Question.
with you.
I love asking this question. No wrong answer, I promise. The three levels of influence: money, power, and respect. If you could choose only one of those things, which one would you choose and why?
Well, of course, it would have to be respect, but um, the money is not bad, and power is not bad either. But if I could only choose one, um, I mean, of course, money would be tempting because maybe with the money you'd get the respect, uh, and with the money you'd have the power.
It's
So if
true.
really if respect is what you're after, then maybe I should just say the money. In which case, because if I say respect, respect doesn't necessarily come with the money.
Right,
Um, I mean, some people have money and no respect. That absolutely can be true, but you have more of a chance of getting the respect if you have the money. So I'll
right.
adjust my answer. I'll say the money.
I love it. Same for me. Great answer. Um, Last question, and I just really enjoyed talking to you today. If every
Thank you.
actor listening today remembered one lesson from you, what would you want it to be?
Um, be proactive. Just take action. Don't wait for somebody to do it for you. I
Mm,
think you have to take the bull by the horns and go after what you want. Identify
abs-
what it is first and go after it. So it has to
absolutely.
do with proactiveness.
I love it. I love it. Take
And
charge.
having
Don't
said
wait.
that, I have to tell you, I'm a very proactive person.
I
So I'm
love
about to
it.
go on vacation on Saturday for 2 weeks. I'm going to
Woohoo.
Europe, I'm going to Greece, I'm going to Paris, I'm going to Croatia. So I'm very
Yeah.
excited about this vacation. And, of course, it's not like I can unplug. I mean, people are going to, in post-production for one movie and pre-production for another. And
Right.
but I'm actually going to tell myself the opposite of what I just told you. I'm going to tell myself that for 2 weeks I don't want to be proactive. I want to
Mm,
be the opposite of proactive so I can relax.
yeah,
Because proactiveness is not relaxing, it's taking risks. It's
that's
being
true.
uncomfortable to be proactive. And and uncomfortable is the pain in the ass. You want to be comfortable. You don't want to be
Right.
uncomfortable. But that's how
Right.
you get where you want to go to, is by being uncomfortable. So it's conundrum, isn't it?
Isn't it? Absolutely is. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on. Where can people find you on
Thank you.
social media to follow everything you have coming up?
Oh, is that a question? Which is, I think, Michelle Danner LA in Instagram, Actors International. I think it's TikTok. I don't do a lot of those, but I look at them and I do Instagram lives every week.
Oh, nice.
And also, what else? The MichelleDanner.com, Michelle Danner Acting Studio, the Los Angeles Acting Conservatory. Those are the places. And if you want to know more about the films that we make, it's allinfilms.com.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Come back
Thank you.
anytime. Always a breath of
Thank
fresh
you
air
so
to
much.
have you on.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a great
Absolutely.
rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you all for listening. And always remember to live, love, laugh. We'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye.